What is up, Soul Fam? It's Sundial from Substance Over Style and welcome to a new video. So, let me just adjust this a little bit. Yep. So, I am coming at you from the comfort of my bed today because we are talking about how to have a happy period. And one of my top tips for having a happy period is when your period actually starts, like mine has, take it easy. Don't overexert yourself. So much of what we've been told as women, especially if you have cramps, you know, to move and be active is just total horseshit. You know, you really need to honor your body, listen to what it wants, and rest and relax and take it easy. I basically started to really honor my body after I started researching the red tent phenomenon. Well, I don't know if you could call it a phenomenon or a tradition, but it was something that indigenous women in America would practice, and probably many other cultures as well, where called red tenting basically. So when they would come on, they would all go into a red tent and bleed together into the earth, and that was when they would really like commune and receive insights and guidance. I talked about this in one of my other videos on fasting and your menstrual cycle. So yeah, ever since then I've kind of done had my own little red tent ritual where I just take the day off work, or take 2 to 4 days if I can. You know, I'm quite lucky that I've set my life up that way where I can afford to take at least 1 day off work because I'm self-employed, to just really honor my body. And even if I can't, I just generally try and take it as easy as possible. So, you know, I won't, like today, for example, I had to shoot, but luckily I only had to shoot in the afternoon, so I took the morning off. I slept in really late, and then I just got up, you know, got ready really leisurely, wore comfy, nice, warm clothes, and yeah, just took it really easy on set. I'm not going to be working out this evening. Most days I try and do some form of physical activity at the moment. But when I'm on my period, I don't overexert myself. So yeah, there's lots of things that you can do to honor your cycle, not just on your period, but all throughout the month, and we're going to talk about that. So the first thing that I want to talk about for how to have a happy period is your feminine hygiene. Now, feminine hygiene is really quite intrinsic to having a comfortable period, because, you know, you got to be comfortable, right? So if you're wearing something that makes you feel uncomfortable or grossed out, or like you don't want to connect to what's happening with your body because, you know, you find it disgusting, that will not help you have a comfortable, safe and happy period. It will not help you connect to your body. And the more that we start to connect to our bodies and start to connect to our femininity and connect to the feminine collective, the more that we will connect with the earth body, and the earth mother, Gaia, because she is an expression of feminine energy. This whole world is run by feminine energy, and our bodies are fractals of the great mother. So when we start to treat our bodies right and choose feminine hygiene that is good for our bodies and safe for our bodies, we naturally come into alignment with products that are safe and sustainable for the earth body as well. So that means no nasty chemically treated tampons that are going to cause cancer, a lot of like plastic sanitary towels that also use a lot of bleaching agents that can be harmful for your vaginal health. Things like that are just not on the menu. Now, my favorite feminine hygiene product is the Moon Cup. I've been using it for about 15 years since it first came out, and I will post a link to my review, which I actually made years ago, talking about it. It's absolutely fantastic. It really yeah, it just really, it's much more sustainable. There's no waste. It's super comfortable. You barely even notice it's there because, I mean, you can't see it. Like when, you know, when you take your pants off, you can walk around naked and nobody would even know that you were on, which makes it great for sexual activity as well. So, you know, if you're a person who likes to be intimate on your period, then a Moon Cup is great for that. And there are also Moon Cups that you can get, not, well, Moon Cup is a brand name, but there are menstrual cups that you can get, which you can even use and keep in during penetration as well. They're a bit softer and more rounded on the bottom, so you don't get like the spiky, you know, the tail, which can be quite scratchy during penetration. So yeah, have a look into that if you haven't tried it. I absolutely recommend the menstrual cup. Now, sometimes a menstrual cup isn't always convenient because, say for example, like if I'm running around and I've got lots of castings during the day, because in Europe the toilets aren't as sanitary as you get in Asia. They don't have what's the word, bidets, Muslim showers, bum guns, however you want to call them, like you do in Asia, where you're able to take the cup out and rinse it while you're in the toilet to keep it super clean and hygienic. In Europe that's not a thing. Like they literally just use toilet paper. So if you're not comfortable, you know, wiping the Moon Cup and reinserting it, because, you know, some people's insides can be quite sensitive to bacteria and stuff like that, so that's not always the most hygienic option. And if you don't want to carry a water bottle to clean it out, then sometimes you may prefer to use a tampon. So sometimes I do use tampons in those instances where I'm running around using public toilets. So usually I quite like Natracare. They do organic, unbleached, organic cotton tampons. But recently I was introduced to this brand now, Grace and Green. They do beautiful products which are safe and kind to your body, and also safe and kind to the planet. So they sent me their whole range actually. So we've got tampons in 3 different absorbencies. We've got light to medium flow. We've got 2 light to medium flows. Oh wait, no, light to medium flow, medium to heavy flow, and heavy flow. I have actually only used the light to medium flow because ever since I went vegan, and now also a lot of fasting and Yoni steaming, which I'm going to talk about later in the video, I haven't really had a particularly heavy flow, so I only really need these ones. I do find that they are slightly less absorbent than, you know, your Tampax or your Lillettes, so they do have to be changed slightly more often. And I don't like to use one, I'd rather change them more often than use a more absorbent one, just because I'm a little bit worried about toxic shock syndrome. Which is still a risk. Even with the Moon Cup, it's still a risk. Like, I'm just going to put that out there. Anything that you're inserting up inside you is going to be a risk for toxic shock syndrome. So I still prefer to use the light to medium ones, and I do think that they are pretty good. They're comfortable to use. They're pretty much just as good as Tampax and Lillettes. But what I love about these is the whole brand. The entire brand is completely plastic free. I mean, they're wrapped in a biopolymer film. So it's the same with the pads. Now, I do really like to use, I mean, when you're using a Moon Cup, you still may want to use a Daily's panty liner. And these ones are great. They're super thin. I'm not going to waste these. I'm going to use these. They're super thin and lightweight. Like you can see, it's that thin. So it's very, very comfortable, very comfortable. And then this is completely biodegradable, so you're not adding to plastic pollution and destroying Mama Earth. And yeah, that's just super comfy. And then they've got the day and the night. The night ones are somewhere over there, but these are the day ones. The day ones I can also wear at night, but the night ones are just a little bit longer. So the day ones are super thin. The night ones are slightly thicker. These are the day ones. They're really thin. They have wings. They have wings, and they're about equidistant either side. The night ones have got, I would say that it's twice as long, the back one, and it's slightly thicker as well. So they're pretty absorbent, and you can wear them. I do find because I like to sleep a lot, I usually like to sleep for about 10 hours, sometimes even longer when I'm on my period. I do find that they need changing as soon as you wake up, because it's full. Like, they're not as absorbent as, you know, your standard Always, or, you know, your normal commercial brands, which have a lot of this silica gel and are extremely absorbent, those ones. These ones, because it's organic cotton, it's slightly less absorbent, but I would say it's much more comfortable, because I find that the commercial ones that you buy, such as Always, because of they have that kind of mesh lining over the top that it's basically like the blood will go through the lining, and then it will go through to the silica, and then it won't come back up. That mesh lining, I find, it's plastic, it's very bad for the environment, and I find it very, very itchy and very uncomfortable, whereas these are it's just cotton, and it's got, like, you know, I'm not sure what does it have on the top? Let me see. Yeah, I think it's like I don't know, some kind of tissue type material, but it's very soft. And I don't know about you, but my goddess portal likes a bit of softness down there and a bit of comfort. So yeah, the Grace and Green are an absolute win, and the cardboard packaging as well. You know, there's just no excuse for using plastic these days. I really, really don't know why more brands aren't taking note. So you can buy these. I saw that these are available on Beauty Bay. I've seen them in health food shops. I was in a health food shop in Bristol and they were there. So they're actually pretty accessible. I've seen them in quite a few places now. So yeah, I would definitely recommend these products. So I'm going to put a link in the description box if you want to order them. I'm not getting any kind of kickback from that. They just sent me the products to try out, and I'm really happy, so I'm definitely recommending them to you, and I love what they're doing as a company. Okay, now yes, now the next product that I tried, so I actually bought these, or a friend of mine bought them for me as a gift. This is period panties from Wuka Wear. So I wanted to try some period panties. These are really cute, actually. So they just come as a set. I bought the triangle bra as well. I'll input some video footage from my Insta stories trying them out. They come in, so they come in 2 absorbencies, and the normal absorbency, I think the lighter absorbency is a small size, and then the heavier absorbency is like a size 10. So I don't know why they've got both UK sizing and international sizing, but I found that both of them fit me fine. I'm probably like a large 8, a small 10. I've got quite a bit of junk in my trunk, so yeah, I definitely do prefer wearing a 10 on the bottom. So yeah, both of these fit great. I mean, in terms of like, are they cute enough to like wear normally? I mean, personally, I think I find them to be quite, the coverage is quite full, whereas I prefer more of like a cheeky cut when I'm like not on my period. But when I'm on my period, I just want to be comfortable. I want to wear big granny pants that hold me in. I'm not looking, you know, I'm not saying that I don't want to look sexy, but it's not my number one priority. My number one priority is feeling comfortable. And when I feel comfortable, then I'm more likely to feel sexy. So yeah, like these are super cute. And they're I just like sometimes when my flow is not heavy enough to justify putting the moon cup in there, because the moon cup obviously holds quite a lot of liquid, whereas if you're only having, you know, towards the end of my period, I might just have a little bit of spotting. So sometimes it just really does not need a moon cup. Or in the beginning of my period, sometimes it's very light. So then I prefer just wearing a light pad, or these are great, you know, just to catch a few drips. Now, what I will say about these is in winter they're fine, but in summer, because this is plastic, and obviously it has to be with plastic or rubber, so it's waterproof somehow. It doesn't really let your coochie breathe. So it does get very steamy up in there, which I didn't really enjoy that much. So in winter it's okay because, you know, you want to be warm, but like in summer I just need to air that kitty cat out, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a maybe on the Wooker. Okay, yeah, sorry, my camera stopped recording. Yeah, so if you like the period panties and you want to give them a try, then try Wooker. But for me personally, I think period panties, it's not going to be the number one thing that I reach for anyway. So, yes, let's move on. So that's feminine hygiene covered. Now I wanted to talk about Yoni steaming because Yoni steaming has helped my life. Okay, where was I? Yeah, I was talking about Yoni steaming. So I started doing Yoni steaming when I was in Bali and had such a profound effect. I'll talk about it in detail in another video, but it's helped me so much specifically with the cramps because my main issue is the cramps. And I notice every time I do it, my cramps are a little bit less. So every month I try and make sure that I do the steaming, even like one day before, because sometimes I forget. So I just manage, I'm like, shit, my period's starting tomorrow. And that's another thing that you should do, track your period. But yeah, I'll make sure to do it once a month. Now it can help with so many things, not just cramps. It can also help to reduce the flow. And it's definitely done that for me. It strengthens your vaginal walls, so it can help with enhanced sensitivity both for you and your partner during lovemaking. It can boost your fertility. It helps with postpartum healing, so any rips or tears or anything that you have after childbirth, it can really help to heal those. Now this is all using different herbs, so you'll have to choose your herbs according to what you're trying to heal in particular. It can also heal fibroids, ovarian cysts, endometriosis. Like, it's honestly amazing. I'm going to post a link. It will either be in the description box below, or if I can fit it into the cards, then it will be, press the little eye in the corner of the screen, and there's a documentary here on YouTube about Yoni steaming, and I watched that, and after that I'm just, you know, I just make it a part of my regular monthly self-care practice. Can heal chronic infections, so if you have get chronic yeast infections or bacterial vaginosis, it can really help with those. It can assist with healing hemorrhoids, and also, most importantly, well, maybe it depends on your priorities, but very importantly for me anyway, it can help to release stored emotion, trauma, anything from previous partners, but not necessarily even from previous partners, but definitely from previous partners, and help to boost your creativity and your creative visualization, which helps with manifestation, because your womb and your sacral center, like I spoke about in the video on healing the sacral chakra using essential oils, your womb, your sacral center, is your center of creativity. It's where your manifesting potential comes from. It's so powerful that you can actually create people from it. That's where we create life from. So do not underestimate the power of your womb. It's basically, like, when I say it's your goddess portal, I literally mean it's your goddess portal. It contains dark matter. It is connected to, dark matter is fractal in nature, so the same dark matter that connects 96% of the universe is quantum. So it exists wherever it exists everywhere. So you being able to tap into the dark matter that's in your womb, you're tapping into the dark matter that is everywhere. That is the black hole, the you know, that's the womb of creation. That's Kali's vagina. That's where she created the entire universe from, the Yoniverse. Yeah, so, you know, whatever you think about that, just try it. Like, practice, you know, creatively visualizing using that dark matter. It works. Like, I'm telling you, it works. I've been practicing it for a while and it works every time. So yeah, so here's some herbs that you can use. This is what I use in mine. I'm not going to go too deeply and in depth into the benefits of each herb. You can use Google for that, or I can do another video where I go more in depth on Yoni steaming. But in my Yoni steam brew, I use yarrow, yerba mate, white turmeric, basil, rosemary, oregano, oregano, I'm not American, mugwort, and some rose petals. And you can also add lavender as well, because that's pretty too. So yeah, just heat it up in a saucepan, and then you can put the saucepan in the loo. Make sure you scrub the loo out first. And yeah, just sit on top of it, light some candles, do a bit of journaling. Honestly, like, you will feel like a goddess, and your yoni and your entire body will thank you. Okay, so I want to go a little bit into my red tent ritual. So when I start coming on, I used to absolutely dread coming on. It was the worst cramps ever, and if I didn't have Nurofen or ibuprofen, it was just the worst thing, and I just did not know what to do. And I would have to take a day off work. Like, I mean, with modelling, you can't really take a day off work. So I would just have to dose up on painkillers and just go, and it would just be the most miserable thing ever. But if I had like work to do off my own, like uni work or retouching or, you know, castings or whatever, I just wouldn't be able to do it. Like, I would just get out of it as much as I could and take the day off. Now I choose to take the day off, just because I like to honor myself. I like to be good to myself. I like to treat myself like the goddess that I am. And you should too. So for me, number one is no caffeine. Now, I love my caffeine. I love a cup of tea or a matcha latte every morning to start my day, so I can be nice and productive. But on my menstrual cycle, no caffeine. Caffeine is a vasoconstrictor, okay? It causes your capillaries and your arteries to constrict, and so that causes high blood pressure, and that will cause more cramping. So if you have cramps, you do not want to be having caffeine when you are on your period, or you want to keep it to a minimum, absolute minimum. It also, coffee in particular, but other caffeine related drinks, but definitely coffee, are diuretics. So they make you pee more, they make you poo more. And when your body is already trying to expel everything that it's got, you do not need anything that's going to exacerbate that. So just give the coffee a rest. You don't need it. You want to be resting anyway as much as possible. You know, I understand if you've got a really, really busy day and you don't have the luxury of taking the day off, just go slower and maybe swap out. And if you really, really need caffeine to get through the day, swap out your coffee for a black tea or a matcha latte or a green tea. 2 herbal teas that I really like to take when I'm on my period are raspberry leaf tea and ginger tea. Ginger tea is extremely warming, and so that will really, really help too. And ginger is amazing anyway for your sacral chakra, so that will really, really help ease that kind of area. And raspberry leaf tea is very calming, and it just helps. Like, I don't know exactly how it helps. My sister swears by it, so I swear by it too now. Another thing is chocolate. Now, we crave chocolate during our period because chocolate is a really rich source of magnesium. And what is magnesium? It's a muscle relaxant. So that will really, really help when your muscles are cramping and tightening and you're in discomfort. Either having a raw cacao, you can make yourself a nice hot chocolate with some warm milk, heat up the raw cacao, add a nice natural unrefined sugar, like in Indian jaggery. In South America they call it canela or panela, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. In Urdu we call it gur. Is basically just like a block of solid sugar. You just shave off a few pieces and add that to your hot chocolate, or you can use coconut sugar or maple syrup, just an unrefined sugar. Or you can, what's a really nice snack that you can have, because generally you're also craving carbs when you're on your period, chopped up bananas with some chopped up walnuts or cashews are a great source of magnesium, drizzled with a little bit of maple syrup and sprinkled with raw cacao. That's a really, really rich source of both magnesium and potassium, and both of those will really help you relax and chill out. Read a book, meditate, sleep, dream, journal, that you'll get your creative juices are really, really flowing. As you're detoxing and letting go of things, you're basically making space for new things to enter. So you'll find that you'll get a lot of creative downloads when you really, really start to honor your moon time. Herbal remedies that can really help are valerian is amazing. It's a natural painkiller. I mean, for me personally, sometimes I'm not able to take time off, you know, if like today I had to shoot, I need ibuprofen. Like my cramps aren't, okay, this moon cycle, I will say, I'm actually very proud of myself. I only took 2 ibuprofen, but I had like a pack of Nurofen in my bag just in case the cramps got really bad. Luckily, I actually was like, you know what, I'm not just going to take the I'm not going to take the painkiller at the first sign of cramps. I'm going to wait. Normally at the first sign of cramps, I would quickly pop it so that, you know, I don't have to go through the intensity of the pain, because it's so intense sometimes that even if you wait until it's really intense and then you take it, like, you're going to be in pain for like 2 hours, and that's not fun when you're like on set and you need to shoot and you need to like bring it. But this time I was like, you know what, I'm just going to ride it, because I want to see how much work I've actually done, how much positive changes I've made to my body, and see how bad the cramps actually get. So I actually rode it out, and it was completely manageable. Like it wasn't, you know, the most comfortable thing in the world, but it definitely was bearable. So, you know, I think that I've made a lot of progress. One thing that I haven't written down in my notes, but that another thing that's really helped with my cramps, but I have talked about it before in some of my previous videos, is fasting. So I talked about it on my Insta stories, where I did the master cleanse for 10 days, and I happened to do that just before my period, and I didn't know that I was coming on, because this was before I was practicing cycle tracking. But my pain was completely manageable and didn't need to take any painkillers at all, and the flow was really light as well. So that's on my Insta story highlights in a section called fasting, or juice fast or something. So you can have a look at that. And then there's also another video where I talked about where I did a 24-hour dry fast right before my period, and it was amazing. So I just recently completed a 3-day water fast, 1-day dry fast, and then a 3-day juice fast. And then I transitioned over a couple of days just with raw foods. Now I'm eating, it's been a few days that I've been eating food again. And I think that's another reason why my period this month has been a lot more comfortable, because of the fasting. So fasting is one of the best things that you can do to detox your body. It's not just for weight loss, and I would say it's not even that helpful for weight loss. It can be good for weight loss, because you do lose a lot of weight, and as long as you transition very carefully back into eating, you won't put the weight back on, and then maintain very healthy, consistent habits after that. But if you, on its own, it's not enough, because a lot of the time you'll lose the weight and you'll put it right back on afterwards. But it is amazing for healing and detoxing your body in all different types of ways. And usually if you're having painful cramps, it's a sign of toxins and traumas and, you know, things that you're holding on to that you need to release. So fasting can really help you release those things. Coconut water, very important to drink during your period, because you're losing a lot of water and a lot of electrolytes. You need to replenish your electrolytes. So I swear by coconut water whenever I'm on my period. And I love to have an electric heat pad. That really helps. So I've got this electric heat pad. I mean, hot water bottles are fine, and they work fine as well, but they don't stay hot all night. So what I love about the electric heat pad is it stays hot for about an hour, and then it goes to sleep, and then I just you know, if the pain wakes me up again, then I just turn it on again. But what I love about it is if the pain is a bit uncomfortable but it's not bad enough for me to take a painkiller, then I just put the heat pad on, and the heat pad will not only ease the pain, but it will also just relax you enough so that you can go to sleep, and then you can sleep through the pain. But sometimes I don't even need a heat pad. Sometimes even just putting your hand here, or you know, if you have a partner, you can ask your partner to put their hand there. Just the heat from their hand can be enough to really relax whatever's going on there. I don't know if it's, you know, universal energy or Reiki or whatever it is. I just think, you know, it's the warmth from your hand that's relaxing whatever's going on in your womb. Another thing, sometimes I can't travel with my heat pad if I've got, you know, limited space in my luggage. Then I like to, there's these like stickers that you can get from the pharmacy. You stick them on and they're basically like muscle relaxing stickers if you've got like any kind of sports injury or something like that. So those can be really, really helpful. So when I'm like traveling in Asia, I will usually use those instead of the electric heat pad. I'll just stick it onto my skin and it will last for a few hours, and it basically releases like deep heat, or Tiger Balm is another one. So if you can't find that, then look in your local pharmacy for Tiger Balm, and then when you start feeling the cramps, you can just rub some Tiger Balm on and it will relax your muscles and give you some relief from the pain. Okay, what's next? Okay, now I'm going to talk about cycle tracking. Now, I'm not an expert on cycle tracking. It's something that I've only recently started to do, which is quite embarrassing, being in my mid-30s, only just started to track my cycle. But it's amazing for if you're trying to get pregnant, or if you're trying to not get pregnant. It tells you when is the most when is your most fertile window, so you can use extra precautions around that time, or you can go at it more at that time if you're trying to get pregnant. Also, it tells you when you're ovulating. It tells you when you're in your luteal phase, which is your phase leading up to menstruation, where you're like leading up to your ovulation. You'll find, now I use the Flow app, and I love the Flow app because it gives you really good insights into your health. And you know, this is something that, like, as women, we're so clueless about our bodies. I mean, we're really, like, society, I've talked about this before, how our society is so solar, it's so 9 to 5. It really doesn't honor, you know, the cycles of time. We you know, like I said before, the planet that we live on is ruled by feminine energy. It's ruled by the calendars. The calendar is basically a monthly calendar. Now, why is it a monthly calendar? Because the earth is governed by the cycles of the moon, lunar cycles, right? Because our bodies are also governed by the same cycles. So yeah, we do have like 9 to 5 as well, but like 9 to 5 at one time of our month is completely different from the 9 to 5 at another time of our month. So, you know, sometimes we'll have more energy than at other times. So when you start to track your cycle, you start to notice when you have more energy at different times of the month, and you can actually plan, you know, certain things. Like, say, for example, you know, you're planning your workout schedule. You can plan that you're going to do, you know, your most, what's the word? Your most strenuous exercises during the ovulation phase of your cycle, or leading up to the ovulation phase of your cycle. So if you're going to be doing boxing or CrossFit or whatever, or like high intensity interval training, you can do that in the first 2 weeks. Then, you know, in the second 2 weeks, when your luteal phase, where you're winding down, that's like the autumn or the winter of your cycle, you might want to be doing more Pilates, more yoga, more just going for long walks and things like that. So really, really starting to honor your body is going to be so key for connecting and healing your internal feminine. And as you heal your internal feminine, we heal the collective feminine, and we heal the planet, and we come more into harmony and balance with the planet as we do that. Also noticing when your cycle is synchronizing with the full moon or the new moon can also be really, really beneficial, especially if you're doing spiritual practices. So I talked about this in my video, Red Moon Menstruation and the Lunar Eclipse. So sometimes, so I talked about how at that time I was synchronizing with the red moon. So synchronizing with the red moon or the full moon means when you're synchronized with the full moon, that means you're a red mooner. And I'll post a link in the description box below to a book where you can read more about this. That's more of like the oracle, teacher, healer, sage type energy. If you're synchronizing with the new moon, then that makes you a white mooner, and that's more the mother type energy. Now, I find when I have a partner, I synchronize with the new moon. When I'm single, I synchronize more with the full moon, because it's more in keeping with that type of energy. Obviously, when there's a polarity happening, then there's probably, your body's maybe getting ready to conceive. But when you're kind of more in your own space and you're cultivating and unifying your own internal feminine with your internal masculine, then that's when you start accessing the higher states of consciousness to enable you to teach and, you know, to be an oracle, to be a sage, to be able to teach others. So yeah, like I've also noticed that tracking my cycle means that I'm able to understand why I might be getting more emotional than usual. You can also track when you're going to be more horny. So they say that like your libido as a woman will increase around the time of ovulation, because that's when you're the most fertile. For me, that's not true in my experience. I actually find that I am horniest when I am just before my period starts. So that's actually when I'm least fertile, which is interesting, because, you know, it goes against the whole idea that as women we're supposed to be baby making machines, and that's the only reason why we would ever desire to have intimacy and sexual contact for the purpose of procreation, which I just think is not true, because it's clearly, I mean, it's certainly evidenced by my cycle that, you know, sex has so many different other purposes other than just procreation. It's very important socially, it's very important for just emotional connection. I think it's very important spiritually, for spiritual enlightenment and embodiment. So yeah, it definitely helps you reconnect with your body a lot more, you know, tracking your cycle and finding out where you are at different times of your cycle. Especially for me, when I find myself becoming, you know, when my energy levels are low, I start to feel a lot of shame and a lot of yeah, just unworthiness, and like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not more productive? Because, like I said, we live in a very solar world, very yang energy, and it's very competitive, and it's not built around feminine principles. And when we dishonor the feminine, we just get into this cycle of not just not honoring ourselves, but, you know, not treating ourselves well, with negative self-talk, and that negative self-talk ends up breeding patterns of just overconsumption and pushing ourselves way too hard, burning ourselves out, depleting ourselves, giving too much of ourselves to others and not to ourselves, and just generally treating the planet badly as well. Because when we do all those things to ourselves, we end up treating the planet badly by extension, because we are fractals of her body, like I said. So yeah, I think I've talked a lot, and I'm going to leave it there because I've said everything that I want to say on this topic. So yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please share it with anybody who could benefit from this information, and I know a lot of you ladies are going to benefit from this information, so please help me get it out there to the peeps. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment in the comment box below. You know I love hearing from you, and I will love you and leave you. Christmas is going to be very busy, so I'm not going to do a video around Christmas. I'm flying to Bali. Next video I'm probably going to do after New Year. I mean, I might be able to fit one in before New Year, but probably not. I just want to chill over Christmas now and have a nice relaxing time and enjoy my New Year. And the next video that I will do, I will probably be from Bali. So yes, I'm looking forward to coming at you from there. And thanks so much for watching, guys. I love you and leave you, and I'll see you in the next video. Mwah!
You're introduced to LSD, and unless you've taken some other drug, like for instance, like marijuana or something, well, you know, it's an altogether new thing, and you actually can have a religious experience